Please support this channel by subscribing and leaving comments. Stay well, stay safe.
We're going to end the day with Mr. Jim Hewkin right here. Jim is from St. Helens, Oregon, not the mountain because it wasn't destroyed. And he is a retired wildlife biologist from the Oregon State Wildlife Commission. So if you have a big round of applause, Mr. Jim Hewkin.
Try to add a little bit. I've been in this business of Sasquatch around for about 30 years, and like everybody else, still don't know anything. But if we have managed to acquire a little bit of evidence over 30 years, well, then animals still unknown and unrecognized by science. There's evidence out there in the mountains, and it seems like everybody's getting interested nowadays. It's in the media all the time, in the papers, and start writing up on that. I'm going to talk about my impression is the ecological profile of the Sasquatch. I looked at a lot of evidence that I've acquired myself, but I've interviewed with other people and read a lot of people. However, science is going to argue over this one is final. You're not going to recognize it. Most scientists are going to recognize this thing to be either on a slab. Down the carcass that we're all talking about. And they'll argue with it. And it's all over with now. However, over the past 30 years, this animal has been reported in several books. Books are coming out pretty rapid right now. There's several books to do. That's got the media going better yet. It's probably going home. Sasquatch. Sooner or later, we're going to have it out there in the open. Now, I'm going to talk about the evidence, how it best resembles a real animal. We talk about legend all the time, and legend this, and legend that, Indian stories and all that. But what is a real animal? It's out there, it's a real animal. There's certain things you've got to look for in real animals. And that's the kind of evidence we need. So, I'm basing this profile on what I think this animal is. First of all, the range, distribution. Well, it has tremendous distribution from Alaska clear down to Mexico. All the mountain ranges of North America. That's a big area. So how many are there? Quite a few. They're scattered thinly, but widely. And maybe only a few thousand of them. Easily possible to have a few thousand animals like that in North America. Talking about millions of square miles of wilderness. And a lot of people say, well, we haven't got that much wilderness, it's all cut off. This animal is flexible. He is a survivor. I mean, he's not out there because he's a dummy. He's intelligent. And it's propagating just like you and I are. There's young ones out there that's a viable breeding population. How do we know this? We find small tracks. This is a medium-sized track, probably a young animal. There's big tracks that are half again that size, and they're built down. Find little tracks like this, babies. We've got a propagating population out there. People don't realize this. Talk about a Bigfoot and you say, there's more than one? Well, that's the problem we have. We got to just get more evidence. And more and more. And maybe we'll have it discovered before we even get the body out there. Get enough evidence. I know John and the rest of us will probably die off with this happening. The old researchers know what's going on. over the hill, and the new ones are coming up. You're going to have a lot to go by. But the evidence is mounting. We have a distribution, a wide distribution. It's continent-wide. North American continent has got this thing distributed to the north and the south, east and the west. Pacific coast, the Atlantic coast. The swamps, the waterways, the rivers, the meadows, the alpine country. Any animal that can take that kind of a life is a rugged animal. It's adapted to a good, rugged existence. I mean, living off the fat of the land. You don't pay taxes. You don't have a population problem. Who's got the problem? We have problems. We can't even stop our population. And so there he has it, everything going for him. He's not even discovered yet. He's in our backyards. And if he keeps it that way, he's going to keep moving forever. But I'm afraid the old poor old boy's going to get discovered one of these days. And what else do we know about this animal? We know the range, distribution, where he's at. We don't know how to find him, but he's there all the time. He knows more about us than we know about him, that's for sure. And there's a relationship with other animals. Any wild animal in existence has a relationship with all the other animals there is out there. What is the relationship of the Sasquatch with other animals? Well, he's kind of a monster in a way, because he lives off everybody else. He eats anything, including you. He likes meat, live, dead, and rotten. And that's why he's still alive. He's a survivor. He's been through it all. Over the periods of evolution, he's adapted to everything. He's in the glaciers, up in the alpine country, down in the beaches, looking for fish, clams, digging under the swamps, getting out weeds, fish, all kinds of vegetation. He knows it all. He lives right there. And you got an animal like that, well, you talk about Superman, this critter's it. He can do anything he wants to. He's very mobile. He's quick, fast, and he's strong. There's probably nothing to equal him in strength on the land. And being a giant, in adult proportions, he's a giant. I think the two individuals you described are very young. And probably teenagers. Yeah. An adult would be, way up there, around 7 feet or over, 8. Who knows? We haven't got a specimen yet. And but the size of the tracks indicate that they have great mobility, stride, and you saw it step up that way. Well, this has been described to many people. Saying he tosses in a lot of sounders with it, all the vegetation there is out there. So he can't go wrong. He's always satisfied. Summer, winter, spring, and fall, he's active. He might hibernate a little bit in the north country up here. I think that's my own speculation. I think the ability to sack out for a long time if it feels like it. And we don't know of any shelter that he needs. He definitely has to have shelter sometime once in a while. They have the capability of making it. They have the capability of digging a cave with their hands. This animal don't require tools like we do. He's got it all made with his hands. He's a fire. And his physique is such that he's got everything going for him. This thermal system must be something tremendous because he's not freezing to death out there. And he's definitely out in cold country at times. And he's down in hot country. He can swim all the rivers and lakes there is and get away with it. You don't have to worry about fatigue. They've been reported in enough bad water to know that he can overcome anything. All these big rivers in this country are nothing to him. There's no barriers. There's no mountain barriers. And they can climb, scale cliffs and everything else. For a gigantic animal, you really got something special. And it happens. It's there. So when we talk about a Bigfoot, we've got a lot to learn. But you can bet your last dollar, he's there. He's active, he's alive, he's going to be around a long time. He's not an endangered species as far as I'm concerned. If anything is going to be in danger, it'll probably be us after about the 10 years that's going on now. Everybody shoot each other up. No overpopulation of this critter. And so other animals around him, the more happier he is because he needs a big food supply. He can dig out rodents out of the rock slides in the mountains, dig out a nest of rodents in no time flat. This has been witnessed by a logger. He saw a family smelling rocks, trying to locate where the nest was. Finally, the male located the nest and smelled. He was smelling rocks and piled them down, picking up big rocks, like this. And then he went down, straight down. In just a few minutes, he had a nest in his hands, and they ate those rodents right there like bananas. That's kind of an animal. No need to light a fire like we do, cook it up. And they like big game. They can pull down big game on the run. They can pull down big game by sneaking up on them, snatching them, just like a cougar. Stealth. They can walk softly. They can walk like a baby. They can walk heavy. They can lay down a trap and just show toes showing. Heel won't even show. They can sneak. When they run, they can really sprint. Some people have tried to say they were clocked so many miles an hour, pacing along a car or something. And an animal like that is kind of hard to figure out. There's a little bit of humor with this animal. Apparently there's humor. You see an animal shaking a car on the highway with a driver in it. That's funny to me. Or if you read about a hunter dozing with his back against a tree and a big heavy hand is put on his head. And he looks around and he don't see nothing. Well, that's kind of humorous. Shook up the hunter. But that happens. Things like this happen all the time. And they had a lot of restraint. In spite of their strength, size, and everything, they chase people out of the woods, but they never touch them. It's just, get out of here, fella. They're winking around. Or maybe I'm having fun. Who knows? You know, just chase them out of there. One fella fell down. And it just stopped. He got up and ran to his car and got away. There you go. A lot of restraint there. And a lot of things that did. They could have caught people. They could have rolled the car over if they wanted to. A lot of things with that much strength they can do, but they don't do it. They shake a cabin up a little bit, you know. Get over the corner and shake it up a little bit. Or a trailer. Walk the car. If you have a good time, you go up and lose that a lot. So that's kind of a critter we might have out there. It's got all the traits of a human. Basically, it has the traits of what we were maybe back in the Dark Ages. You know, back in the Dark Ages, we could really see what was going on. We never had any tools. We were probably living the same way this critter is doing now. Just living off the land, grubbing around. Only he, the birds, he got pushed back to the, this is my way of thinking, he got pushed back into the rough country because man was starting to organize, you know, and become a bigger on the world. And forced him back into the recess where he is now. He developed a very big thing that he is. He's a survivor. That's about the only way I can explain it. And but the thing is, he's there, and we've got to do something about it. Our intellect tells us that we're curious. We're all curious, and we want to know what the truth is. That's the main thing. We got to get the truth out. And we don't want to hide it or disguise it or anything else. We want to get it out. The skeptics can laugh at everything, you know, but the skeptic's not going to do you any good. Well, he will do us some good in a certain respect because he drives you to the point you got to prove it. That's what tells you. Prove it. Now, we know what brings down all these animals that eat rabbits, moose. They can bring down moose, elk, deer, not any problem. So they always got to prove the food supply up there. And from that standpoint, you're probably better off if you was 100 years ago, because man, in our activities, we've improved the game supply quite a bit. We have more elk in Oregon than we've ever had. And there's more elk in some of the other states that have never had any elk before. This benefits Sasquatch. We have more deer in some parts of the country than we ever had before. And rabbits galore everywhere. You go up in the high country in the winter on frozen snow and see rabbit tracks all over the place. So there's a food supply there all the time as far as meat is concerned. And then in season, we got all the variation. everything else out there that we didn't even know about. All kinds of vegetation there in the summertime. So, then we go back to this unspecialized lifestyle. You know, our big liability is getting specialized. We're all specialized now. If we haven't got a specialty, some kind of going to start today. You got to work for a living. This animal is unspecialized. He couldn't care less about wages, for living conditions. It's already there for him. Why his students adapt to it. And here we are. Every time we have a disaster, well, he just lays back and laughs. Fire, that's nothing to him. He enjoys fire, probably. Because fire converts the forest into something new again. Brings up all kinds of new vegetation, new populations of animals erupt and everything else. After fire, 20 years, it's life of paradise. He moves right in, takes advantage of it. We agonize over everything that happens. Lightning, storms, and fires, and floods, we agonize over all that stuff. He couldn't care less. So there we have an animal that, ecologically speaking, just fits right here. He's at the top of the food chain. We're going to strive along all along. Kind of cool. He's an opportunist in this. We log the country off. It grows back in and gets real thick, full of animals, and he moves back in again. He just moves over to the next parcel. Hasn't been logged yet for various stages. Timber is going up to several stages all over the North American continent, second growth, third. Well, they're cutting second growth and third growth now. We've got a pattern portion in this country that's very, very, very more productive in the way of wildlife than ever was.
I would challenge that in that that's true if natural regeneration takes place, but under the regime of herbicide regeneration of hemlock and Doug fir straight stands, when you're going to have a 25 to 30 year cycle for pulp only.
Yep.
Those forests have no diversity. I live in them. They have no game. I don't think those third generation pulp forests are going to provide any resources either.
Oh, it depends on what stage you're looking at. As it goes along, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th year might be the best. Then it starts going downhill, depending on the stand and how things go. And then, depending on other factors that come in, disease, fire, and other things, and you gotta disrupt these situations. It's not all the same. We plant a manicure, so it's like that, like you're talking about. But then there's these various species you're talking about, hemlock and whatnot coming in. And the Forest Service themselves have problems with this. You know, they just don't get themselves thinking about it. And then they overcut, and they cut too soon, and the demand gets so big you don't know what you're going to have. And then you get fire in there too, and that goes. You're right.
Well, but you think
some of it looks real barren.
But you think overall there will be enough
Overall,
diversity?
they're mobile. I mean, they go hundreds of miles. And nobody knows it. There's this other factor that I haven't mentioned yet, nocturnalism. This animal lives at night, he lives in the daytime. We sleep at night. This animal is active at night. He can sleep a little bit in the daytime, and he's active in the daytime too. Most societies, that's about 50-50. Well, as many see in the daytime as at night. So they got good night vision. And this is a very beneficial situation for a predator because big game are active at night. They feed all night long, elk, deer, and whatnot. They often on they're feeding and then they're feeding all night long. And daytime too, and they sleep most of the daytime. This animal does the same thing. He's always coping with it. No problem. It's got all the characteristics of a super predator. From the predator standpoint, he's got to be made. And as long as we manage our part of this continent over here, he's in good shape. He wouldn't worry about managing it. He's part of it. All we got to do is recognize it. The only thing we can do to hurt this animal is to take his habitat, erase it all at once. Then you got it. But you can't do that because he's in the most rugged part of the continent. He wants to be there. He can be down there in the paradise part where we are too when he feels like it. He can go down there at night and migrate right through the heart of where people live and get out of there without anybody seeing him. But he gets spotted once in a while. Bound to get spotted now and then, and that's true now. We've got some communication, and we're all over the place, we're all populating the country, so there's problems there. But we still in a safe situation. The way I see it, now there's going to be this profile I've given you. official situation. A lot of stuff happens. So, Jack, we gotta find one.
Somebody does, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This one doesn't matter.
Are there any questions for Mr. Hewkin? Mr. Perez?
You had mentioned that the Unsolved Mysteries on Monday presented one of the sightings you found out or told us about.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that.
These hoaxes are something that you've got to preface once in a while. You know, you've got to be alert to everything there is. You've got to report, but you got to check things out. And it's always my policy to make sure don't take anything seriously, just find the first person. Talk to the first person, and that's it. Like you're the first person.
That's the thing that's been put to me many times.
Yeah.
You were a hoax. You were a hoax.
Right, because the second person hears something and he never gets the story straight. Talk to the first person to get a hold of the story okay. And so the value of any kind of report is to get that first person and get everything right off his voice, his side, his reactions, and then you get a better idea of your value of the aliens is going to be. And this particular hoax that was on TV the other day shows a woman and another woman in a car. They see this animal walk across the front of them, a hairy animal. Well, Jack and I knew that that's a hoax because we checked that area out and there were 6 different incidents during the night in that same road area. Over a period of about a month and a half, 2 months. So you know something haywire. A Sasquatch isn't going to walk in front of cars all night long, a short period of time. And I couldn't get, in one particular situation, I couldn't get the first person for a long time. The person that was on that program just didn't make it to me. And I said, 5 other sightings of my own. I'd have to know all about yours. He said, "What you do?" And so I said, "Yeah." So I wouldn't particularly risk giving my information out again. He would give me information. So I finally did get the address and the name of the person in the car that night. Had a phone across the front. She wouldn't give me anything except that I couldn't get to talk to her as a person. So I asked her a question on the phone and I said, "Well, walk across the front of your car, fast or slow?" She says, "Slow." So I thought, well, that's not. This thing is walking in front of cars by that many times is dead now. We found out later, Jack and I did this. Kids run pranks, and they had a guy in a suit, all the stupid things to do. Everybody in Oregon has a gun in their car, actually. Walking across one of those at night, fursuit. And of all things, his mother made a suit for him. Gee whiz, that is really stupid.
Maybe she didn't care much for her boy.
Had a good running shoe.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Hewkin? Okay, Mr. Hewkin spoke about the Sasquatch living off people. Basically, under lock me like a politician. What else? And very active, very versatile, can move all over the place. Richard Simmons, as well as mine, a little smaller. That's the end of our panel discussion. I'm going to introduce Chip Clemens. He's here from LA.
If you're enjoying all this rare and unique content, please show your support by subscribing and leaving comments. Stay safe, stay well.